Gotta turn the lights on for this one, which means I also have to suck in my gut. All right. People often have phrases and sayings, and you've heard a million times, right? Like, learn from your mistakes. And then what does that mean? Let me explain. That's a good one. And, often, while they're platitudes now and they're meaningless, the core of the idea is a good one, right? So I think of like Google. Google starts a project and they shut it down. And you're like, what did you learn from that? Like, what did you learn? You either learn not to ever just start new things at Google or start things I heard at Google because that's how you get noticed. I don't know, right? But it's just like, as a company, you don't build a muscle, you don't learn more, you don't build on your mistakes. And that's where I think Valve is very unique and very much like they're really helping themselves long term for how they behave as a company. Because if you remember this thing, that's a failure. It was a failure. And then this thing, oh dear God, this thing weighs like 700 pounds, but I love it, is a failure, right? It's one of the original Steam machines. But they took that and they kept building and they kept trying things and they built the Vive controllers and that went well. And then they built this, the Steam Deck. And this is amazing. This is a success. This is knocked out of the park. This is changing the industry. You sell more games if you are Steam Deck compatible or preferred or whatever the thing is. By the way, the Anacrusis is. It's amazing, right? But they learned from their mistakes. They learned what they needed to do. They learned a bunch of how to do things. They learned about working with items. They learned about materials. They just kept learning. They learned about manufacturing. Got to learn a bunch about manufacturing at HTC. See my earlier video. Don't ever do it. But God, hats off to the team that made this. But, right, that's actually taking that idea of learning from your mistakes. And in physical form, you can see they learn from their mistakes. Each one of these is a step, right? I don't like this controller. I don't like to use this controller. So the reason I say this is it's okay to fail. It is. You're going to fail. You want to actually try things. And people always say that. And it's really hard. And mentally, we're not set for it as human beings. But whatever. Failing is okay. As long as you're learning from that. And what are you learning from that, right? I've learned a lot the last couple of years. I'm getting old. I want to stop learning. But it's how it works, right? And so then you just have to be reflective and you sit back and you go, okay, what do I actually learn? What are the things I can take away from this? What can I build on? Because at the end of the day, I want to make more Steam Decks. I don't want to just keep making more Steam controllers, right? So when you make mistakes, sit back, learn from them, try to understand what went wrong, what you could have changed, and be reflective and admit to yourself that you made mistakes. That's really hard, but just admit to yourself, I screwed up. That was my fault. That was entirely my fault. We can do better. So there you go.